We live in an age of noise, an era of constant motion, where the cure for unease is always more. More distraction, more ambition, more consumption. We are told that the path to a good life is paved with logic, with willpower, with the relentless pursuit of a perfected self. And yet, beneath this polished surface, an ancient hunger grows, a silent epidemic of the soul. We see its face everywhere, in the quiet desperation of a morning drink, in the blue light of a screen that never sleeps, in the frantic chase for power, for love, for a feeling of being enough. We call it addiction. We label it a disease, a weakness, a moral failure. We declare war on it, armed with shame and suppression. But what if we have misdiagnosed the ailment entirely? What if we have been fighting a shadow, all while ignoring the person casting it? The great Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung proposed a radical, almost heretical idea. He suggested that the addict is not a broken machine to be fixed, but a seeker on a misguided quest. That the compulsive behavior is not the enemy, but a desperate messenger from the deep, uncharted territory of the human psyche. To understand this is to change everything. It is to stop asking, "How can I defeat this?" and to begin asking the far more profound question, "What is this trying to tell me?" Addiction, in the Jungian sense, is a symptom of a soul starved of meaning. In a world stripped of ritual, of myth, of a felt connection to the sacred, the psyche does not simply go quiet. It cries out. And when its cries are not heard, it invents its own rituals. These are the counterfeit rituals of addiction, the solemn ceremony of the needle, the sacred chalice of the bottle, the hypnotic trance of the slot machine. Each act is a desperate attempt to touch something transcendent, to find a momentary escape from the crushing weight of an unlived life. The alcoholic, Jung noted, is often pursuing the very same thing as the spiritualist: union with a higher power. It is no coincidence that the Latin word for alcohol is spiritus. The thirst is for spirit, but in the absence of a genuine path, we settle for a chemical counterfeit. This is the first great truth. You are not addicted to the substance or the behavior. You are addicted to the state of consciousness it provides. The temporary silence of the inner critic, the illusion of control, the fleeting sense of belonging to something larger than your own small, suffering ego. The compulsion is not a choice. It is the symptom of a profound internal division, a split between the person you present to the world, the conscious ego, and the vast, powerful, and neglected parts of yourself that have been cast into darkness. This is the realm of the shadow. The shadow is everything we have been taught to deny within ourselves. Our rage, our grief, our vulnerability, our untamed creative energies. It is the orphaned child, the exiled king, the wild animal we lock away in the basement of the mind. Society, family, and even we ourselves tell us these parts are unacceptable, unlovable, dangerous, and so we suppress them. We build a life on top of them, hoping they will disappear. But they do not disappear. Energy is never destroyed. It is only transformed. And when this immense psychic energy is denied a conscious, healthy expression, it turns against us. It seizes control. The shadow, starved and resentful, hijacks the body and mind, driving us toward the very thing that promises release, however temporary. The drink that numbs the grief, the affair that simulates a feeling of being alive, the workaholism that distracts from the emptiness at home. The addiction becomes the shadow's ritual, a dark sacrament performed in isolation, a corrupted rite of passage with no guide and no meaning. You see, ancient cultures understood this. They had rites of initiation. They would guide their young into symbolic darkness, into encounters with death and chaos, not to destroy them, but to break open the small ego and allow for the birth of a larger, more integrated identity. They gave the shadow a place at the table. Our modern world offers no such map. We are left to navigate the turbulent waters of our own unconscious alone. And so, the psyche, in its infinite and sometimes dangerous wisdom, creates its own initiation. Addiction is that blind, self-destructive, and deeply misunderstood journey into the underworld. The tragedy is that we have mistaken this sacred crisis for a simple problem of willpower. We have sent the shaman to jail and offered the seeker a pill. The path to healing, therefore, is not a battle. It is a dialogue. It is a descent. You cannot conquer the shadow by force. You can only integrate it. This requires a terrifying courage. The courage to turn around and face the very thing you have spent your life running from. It means asking not, "Why am I so weak?" but, "What pain does this behavior protect me from? What part of me has been so starved that only this oblivion feels like nourishment? Who is the one crying out from beneath the floorboards of my conscious life?" This is the work, to sit with the discomfort, to listen to the language of dreams, for they are the uncensored letters from the unconscious. The monster in the dream is not your enemy. It is a portrait of a wounded, powerful part of yourself begging to be seen. The bottomless pit is not a threat of annihilation, but a symbol of the spiritual void you have been trying to fill. To witness this pain without judgment is the beginning of alchemy. It is how you turn the lead of suffering into the gold of consciousness. When you bring light to what was hidden, you do not destroy it. You transform it. The rage, once acknowledged, becomes a source of clear boundaries and righteous action. The grief, once felt, becomes a well of compassion. The exiled child, once welcomed, brings back a sense of wonder and play. The addiction, then, begins to lose its power. Not because you fought it, but because the psychic energy that fueled it has been reclaimed. It has been given a new job, a conscious purpose. You have taken the power back from the symptom and given it to the soul. Once you have begun this dialogue with the shadow, once you have started to witness the pain it protects, a terrifying and beautiful space begins to open up. The void. The silence that rushes in when the compulsive behavior ceases. For many, this is the most difficult part of the journey. The ego, the identity built around the addiction and its management, begins to dissolve. It panics. It asks, "Who am I without this struggle? Who am I without this pain?" This is the threshold. And here in this emptiness, something new can finally emerge. Jung called it the self. With a capital S, the self is not the ego. The ego is the small, conscious part of you that thinks it's in charge. It's the mask you wear, the story you tell yourself. The self is the totality of your being. It is the organizing intelligence of the entire psyche, both conscious and unconscious. It is the divine spark, the image of God within, the wholeness that you were born with and that you can never truly lose. The self is who you are beyond your wounds, beyond your history, beyond your failures. It is timeless, vast, and whole. The entire journey of addiction and recovery, from a Jungian perspective, is the self's calling to the ego. The self uses the crisis of addiction as a doorway, a painful but necessary summons to awaken from the small dream of the ego and remember the vast reality of who you truly are. This is why healing is not about becoming a better person. It is not about becoming pure or perfect or erasing the scars of the past. It is about becoming whole, and wholeness includes the darkness. It includes the broken pieces, the mistakes, the pain. The integrated person is not the one who has banished their shadow, but the one who walks with it, who has learned its name and understands its needs. They have turned their greatest wound into their greatest wisdom. This is the archetype of the wounded healer, the one who can guide others through the darkness because they have navigated it themselves. Their authority comes not from a textbook but from experience. Their compassion is born not of pity but of a shared humanity. So what then replaces addiction? What fills the void? The answer is as simple as it is profound: meaning. Not happiness, not success, not comfort. Meaning. The soul can endure almost any suffering if it has a reason. Without it, it will create compulsions to fill the emptiness. Meaning is the discovery of your unique task, the story that makes sense of your suffering. It is the act of service, the creative work, the relationship, the connection to nature or to the divine that says to your soul, "This is why you are here. This is what your pain has prepared you for." Finding this meaning is the final stage of the journey. It requires you to listen with a new kind of ear, to pay attention to the symbols that arise in your daily life, to honor the whispers of your intuition, to follow the quiet pull toward what makes you feel truly alive, not just numb. This is the great work of individuation. It is a lifelong process of becoming more and more of who you truly are. The old patterns of addiction may still call to you. The ghosts of the past will whisper, but you are no longer unconscious. You know who is speaking, and you can answer not with obedience but with a conscious choice. You can say to that voice, "I hear your pain, I know what you are seeking, but I have found a better way to nourish that need." This is true freedom, not the absence of struggle, but the ability to live in a conscious relationship with your inner world, to know that you are not broken but becoming. The addiction, which once seemed like a curse, is revealed to have been a crucible, a fiery initiation that burned away a false self and forged a new one, tempered by wisdom and compassion. The hero's journey is not a myth from ancient books. It is the map of your own transformation. You descended into the underworld of your own psyche. You faced the dragon of your compulsion. And you returned, not with a treasure of gold, but with the treasure of your own integrated soul. And that is a gift you can now offer to the world. A world that is starving for the very wholeness you have fought so hard to reclaim.